decided to do my paper on social penetration theory, and the artifact I was analyzing was the movie Step Brothers. It's one of my favorite comedies. And I think the social penetration theory and kind of trying to explain, like, how we peel back, layers to an onion or people and letting them into our lives is really perfectly broken down in this movie. So just to give you kind of an overview of the movie and just kind of a summary and what I asked for my research question. The whole movie revolves around, if you guys haven't seen it, how many of you have seen it in here? Pretty much everyone. Okay, that's good. Well, for those of you that haven't, Dale Doback and Brennan Huff are two different people. They're both 40-something-year-old men that live with their single parents still until early on in the movie, the mom and the dad sleep together. They decide to get married later on. And they're both pretty, they're not too enthused about the idea of getting brothers. So, like, it's kind of like showed early on when they first see each other for the first time. Dale and Brennan, they see each other and they just won't even give each other their names. They're just like, you have to call me Dragon, you have to call me Nighthawk, they're trying to establish like some sort of dominance. And, I mean, these two don't know each other at all, but later on they become friends. So, I wanted to ask the research question, what causes us to let somebody into our lives? What is it that allows us to let people into our lives? So, going into that, Step Brothers kind of starts out with them really hating each other and getting on each other's nerves. Like Dale kind of lays down these rules like, don't touch my drum set, and like he walks in the house when Brennan has his feet on the couch. You're not supposed to have your feet on the couch, and then Brennan just puts them right back up after he leaves. Well, eventually, Dale finds out that he did in fact touch his drum set, and then he catches him in the act of doing something very violating to the drum set. I won't go into detail, you have to watch the movie. They get into a fist fight, and the parents are both just livid about it. So after the first fight, we kind of finally see the social penetration theory start to take place in layers to an onion, I guess, come off. Because they're sitting on the couch, holding ice packs on their heads, and they see something on the TV they both like, and they're like, oh, that's awesome. They just like high-five each other. But they're just like, I still hate you, just kind of in a comedic way. Later on in the film, Brennan is avoiding his older brother, who he just really dislikes and despises. And he's up in a treehouse looking at adult magazines, and he's just like, I still hate you, but I gotta admit, you got a pretty sweet collection of nudie mags. He's just like, yeah, they're from the 70s and 80s. He's just kind of like, it's like just looking at him in the time machine, pretty much. And it's still expressed. He's like, I still hate you, but you got a sweet collection of nudie mags. And then later on, their brother comes up, and they just both don't like him, and he gets punched in the face, and they high-five each other again. It's just like, wow, that was awesome. So later on, Dale's kind of by himself, and Brennan comes up, and he's just like, after I saw that heroic act of you tonight punching my brother, I think that maybe someday we can be friends. So then this is where social penetration really starts to just unfold, and they start to become friends. So this is just a clip from the movie.
It was super cool that only 3 people have ever seen in their lifetimes. Okay, open your eyes.
Whoa.
See that black smudge right there on the blade?
Yeah?
Look at it closely. Pretty recognizable signature.
No.
Randy Jackson from American Idol.
Why do you have Randy Jackson's autograph on a martial arts weapon?
Because I bumped into him and all I had on me was this samurai sword, and you're not gonna not get Randy Jackson's autographs, right?
I would have done the exact same thing. Now, do you want to see something really cool?
Of course.
Turn off the lights.
Okay, so, as you heard at the beginning of the clip, he's like, do you want to see something that only 3 people have seen in their lives? I mean, that's just pretty much the start of, what's going to be a special friendship. It's just like, he's letting him into a very close and personal part of his life, which is what the social penetration thing is all about, with peeling back layers to an onion and just seeing how deep we can get, like, we can become friends with somebody and say, like, and tell them some of the stuff, but it's like, you can't know this part of my life. Once you start becoming more friends with them and trustworthy, you let them into deeper parts of your life and saying, okay, I can trust you with this. Well, I mean, they got along to that point where he's like, you can see something that only 3 people have seen in their lives, which is pretty cool. And then he's like, alright, do you want to see something really cool? So, I mean, the theory is really well broken down at how they're just peeling back the layers slowly at a time. They're just slowly generating to get used to each other. And then we kind of finally see them become friends shortly after. They play this game, they're like, alright, say this on a count of 3, like, alright, what dinosaur could you be if you could go back in time? 1, 2, 3, Velociraptor. They both say, and they're like, dang it! Okay, if you were a girl, what guy would you want to make out with or whatever? 1, 2, 3, John Stamos! Did we just become best friends? Yup! And they like high-five each other because they're just so enthused. So the onion is just really being peeled back there. And then going into it, they become friends, and that's shown throughout the entire film for a while. And then I kind of wanted to explore why they all of a sudden depenetrate. So like, I kind of wanted to explore why it is that we let people into our lives, and then we slowly start to separate ourselves from them. And this can be examined in, just an everyday part of life. Why do we become friends with somebody in high school, but once we go off to college, we just kind of lose touch with them and everything. And it's not generally greatly broken down in the film as to why they separate, but to an extent it is. The mom and dad separate in the film later on because they were making a video and singing Boats and Hoes, and they crashed the boat, and the dad is just upset because he's like a tough love kind of guy, and the mom's like, well, I think they're being very creative and stuff. And so they separate, and Brennan and Dale are forced to move out and get jobs and grow up. And they kind of blame each other for the mom and dad's separation. So they go out and they just lose touch with each other. And I just kind of came to the conclusion that it wasn't necessarily anything that went wrong for either of them, but it was just that they just felt so depressed at that time in their lives that they blamed each other for the parents' separation, and they started separating from each other and closing off the gaps to their lives and depenetrating from each other. And yeah, I mean, that's just kind of how it all went. So I mean, the social penetration theory, it's not too complex to understand, and I think it's really perfectly broken down in the film if you go home and watch it, just instead of just watching it to have a good laugh, kind of look at how they become friends and why they separate in the film, and how the social penetration theory takes place in that film. And that's all I have today. Thank you.